We got some work to do today. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So it's kind of a dreary day here, and I have a project I've been putting off for a couple days because I've been so busy with other stuff. But a few days ago, this 2 stacks of cherry came out of the kiln. So this stuff's kiln dried, rough sawn, and now the next step for me is to grade through this and separate it into different grades and get it ready for sale. So I'm gonna take the forklift and take this top stack off so I don't have to reach up. That's about 7 foot high there to the top of that, so I don't want to be working with that. I'm gonna break the stacks in half and then we'll get to work here. I'll show you how I grade and what I'm looking for. Okay, so we're in one of my lumber storage buildings here, and as I mentioned before, this is a stack of cherry that just came out of the kiln, and the next step for me in the process is to go through this and grade it and pick out the best boards from the not so hot boards. You know, I'm looking for stuff like knots and splits and stuff like that. For those of you that don't know, my business primarily is selling retail lumber, kiln dried lumber, and millwork products, flooring, molding, stuff like that. So this is actually a stack of wood that I purchased from another mill. You may have heard me talk in other videos. I don't saw every single board I sell here. I do buy wholesale from other sawmills that sell green lumber, and then I'll bring it home and kiln dry it and sell it from there. So this is a nice stack of cherry. If you notice, this is circular sawn. It didn't come off my sawmill, but it is a mixed lot. There's some common grade stuff in here, there's some select grade stuff. So now my job is to go through every one of these rows, look at each board, and decide where I'm putting it, what its use is. So I have 2 main categories I put it in. Select would be a nice board like this, has no knots in it, it's clean. My select grade, I want at least 1 clean face. So you could have a knot on 1 face, but as long as you have 1 nice clean face, that's going to go to select grade. And right now what I'm doing with this, I have a stack of cherry select right here on my rack system, so I'm just going to fill in that rack system with the select. And then my alternative grade would be common grade, and let's see if I can find something like that. That's going in common grade. It's not a terrible board, but it does have that big knot there. So that'll go into common grade. That's going to be used primarily for if I would do cherry hardwood flooring, which isn't the most common flooring I do, but I do occasionally do some cherry hardwood flooring. It makes nice flooring. Certain millwork things, you know, if we're doing molding, sometimes you can cut strips, or, you know, if it's depending on the length, you can cut it out. Or I do sell common lumber to woodworkers. You know, depending on what your woodworking project is, you may be able to save a couple bucks by buying common grade. If you're making something with small cuttings, a small project, or you're making cutting boards or something like that, you can cut around those knots. You can save yourself some money by buying a lower grade wood. So those are all options for the lower grade stuff. But what I'm really trying to do when I'm selling retail lumber, I'm trying to sell the best product I can. That's why I take the time to grade it out and separate it. So if you come here and buy lumber from me, you're going to be looking at the nicest boards. And like I said, if you're interested in something at a lower price point, you know, that's an option. But by and large, we're selling our retail lumber as a select grade, you know, 1 clear face or better. And that's kind of just the standard I try to hold, you know, to sell quality lumber. So there's some other tricks up my sleeve here that I'm going to be looking at as I'm going through these. Now you can see that's a pretty nice board there. I've got this knot at the end about 1 foot in, and it's got a little bit of wane on the edge there. You can see that a little bit better. So what I'm going to do with a board like that, I'll actually trim this back to 7 feet, and then I'll send it out to the edger, and I'll take about 1.5 inches, 2 inches off to clean that up, and then we'll have a select board out of that. Now woods like cherry and walnut will have sapwood. They really have a difference between the heartwood and the sapwood. Typically what I do with that is that's select, that'll go in the rack, and I let my customers pick out their own wood. So if you come here to buy retail, either this building or another building I have where I sell retail, I'll pull out or point to a stack of whatever you're looking for, and it's on you. You can pick through that as much as you want, because everybody's looking for something different. Some people want narrow boards, some people want wide boards, some people love the sapwood and want to include it in their project, some people don't. So that's always the way I've worked it. That's why, you know, it allows me to throw that all in the select grade, and then I let the customer choose what works for them. And that seems to have worked really well for me, for my business. I have a lot of repeat customers on a regular basis, and I've been doing this a long time, so that's just the way I work it. So that's what I'm going to be doing here. I'm going to be going through this and trying to optimize the grade, trying to get the most out of the wood I can, you know. And honestly, the economics of it, we don't need to get into numbers, but when I figure what my value is for select grade versus common grade, you know, I sometimes do the math, and you know, if I lose 1 foot here and 2 inches there, you figure out the value of the board. Am I ahead to sell it as select grade, or am I ahead to throw it in the common pile and just down the road, you know, maybe be able to get a little bit more board footage out of it at a lower price point? So that's always the juggling act you try to play here when you're in the lumber business, is trying to do what's best for the wood, that you're not throwing a bunch away, but also doing what's best for your wallet, you know, that you're making smart choices economically. So that is what I'm up to today. So I just thought I'd give you a little rundown of what I'm looking at as the stuff comes out of the kiln. I got a lot of wood. There's well over 1,000 feet here. So I got a lot of cherry to go through, and I will set you up and we'll start sorting. So I'm into it here, and I just wanted to come back and show you here. This is a nice batch of cherry I'm working with here. I got some wide boards, real nice. You see obviously something like this. It's got this wane on the edge. We'll run that to the edger and kick that back to about a 5-inch board, and that'll make a really nice 5-inch board. Something like that we'll cut back. I'll take the end off, and that'll clean up to a nice board. My stickers here, they're just going back onto the rack, and they'll get used for the next batch of wood. Those are boards I kicked out to go out to the edger. And you may have seen I was trimming with my electric chainsaw. I've mentioned that in other videos. That's really handy for this job. No starting and stopping, no earmuffs, no exhaust. I can do it here in the building. I typically like to try to grade on the edge of at the doorway here, so I'm not making a mess, but I'll just sweep up this floor when I'm done. I actually do need to change the chain on that, because I was sawing the other day and I First hit a nail with the bandsaw blade, and I'm sure some of you guys can relate how this goes downhill quickly. I was trying to cut a section off so I could see better what the situation was with the log, where the nails were. I ended up whacking a nail with the chainsaw chain, so that's about dull as a butter knife right now, so I got to put a new chain on that. And then that does a really nice job here for trimming these ends. You can just zip through them real quick, and these I just save for firewood. They just go in for firewood. So that's about all I got on this, guys. I'm gonna keep sorting. I got a long way to go here to go through these two stacks, but I just wanted to show you how I do it, you know, how I get the best lumber for the customers, and I'm doing the best justice to the wood, that it's being used to its full potential, no matter what the end product is. So that's how I skin that cat, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll catch you on the next one.